Welcome into Rogue Football. I'm your host, Jordan DeLugo. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We have got our January 2024 first round mock draft on deck for you. Going to go ahead and get into it right now. If you're enjoying the content here on the channel, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell at Rogue Football. Again, really appreciate y'all being here. So, getting into it. First overall pick, we're not doing trades in this one. We will get into trades as the draft inches closer and closer at the end of April. But I do have the Chicago Bears, by way of the Carolina Panthers, taking quarterback Caleb Williams out of USC. There's a lot of different directions the Bears could go this offseason. They could decide to keep Fields. They could decide to trade him. I believe, based on what we've seen, that Justin Fields will be traded and that the Chicago Bears will reset their quarterback timeline. They will get that rookie contract, and they will take Caleb Williams with the first overall pick. They've also got their own pick in the first round from this year, which is a top 10 pick as well. So I think getting Caleb Williams in there, resetting the quarterback timeline, and just having a guy that could potentially be one of the very best quarterbacks in the league. That's the type of talent that Caleb Williams brings to the table. I think from an arm talent and creativity perspective, purely, Caleb Williams could be a top 5 guy as soon as he steps on the field. Now, is he going to be a top 5 quarterback? No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying purely from a talent standpoint, he could be right at the top of this league the day he steps in the building in Chicago. So I think that they're going to take Caleb Williams and not bat an eye. They're going to get more capital for Justin Fields. They're going to be able to use their draft haul as well, the rest of this draft class, to be able to supplement the defense and build around Caleb Williams as well. They've already got a decent infrastructure on the offensive side of the ball. At 2 overall, the Washington Commanders fell into this spot late in the year. They're going to be taking a quarterback, in my opinion, with their new brain trust, their new regime that has not been established yet. I have Jaden Daniels going to the Washington Commanders. Look, Daniels, this is a guy that provides a safe floor, in my opinion, and an incredible ceiling with his athleticism, with his ability to throw the deep ball, his operational growth over the last several years at LSU. I think Jaden Daniels could leap Drake May in this draft class for some teams. And again, it only takes one team. I think Jaden Daniels is the type of guy that the Commanders could fall in love with potentially. Obviously, it's too early to tell where they're going to lean, but I do believe the top 3 picks in this class are going to be the top 3 quarterbacks, which leads us to the New England Patriots at 3 overall. Drake May just kind of feels like a Patriot to me. His ability to create off-platform and just be a playmaker with that arm, do some absolutely unconventional things with his ability to throw off platform, his ability to throw at odd arm angles, his willingness to fit the ball in tight windows. I think that he is going to give the Patriots some juice. They're going to have a lot of work to do around him on the offensive side of the ball, but I think Drake May feels like a Patriot. I've been thinking that for a while now. At 4 overall, the Arizona Cardinals, I believe they will bring back Kyler Murray to be their franchise quarterback, build around him. What better way to do that than Marvin Harrison Jr., who is the best wide receiver prospect I have scouted during my time scouting the NFL draft. He's got everything you're looking for, from size, speed, overall athleticism, the contested catch ability deep down the field, the incredible route running. This is a ready-made wide receiver prospect for the NFL that I think Cardinals fans are going to love. At 5 overall, I've got the Chargers injecting some juice for the second straight year into their wide receiver room in the first round. I don't think Quentin Johnson is what they were hoping he would be, but Malik Neighbors absolutely can be the separator, the guy that can win at all 3 levels and take the top off the defense for their quarterback, Justin Herbert, who I think needs that. He needs more of that in his offense. He needs to be able to take deep shots, and I think Malik Neighbors can absolutely help in that regard. At 6 overall, you've got the New York Giants. I think they could go in a lot of different directions, but I have them taking Joe Alt out of Notre Dame. I think you plug Joe Alt in. at right tackle potentially to pair with Andrew Thomas. I think Evan Neal kicks inside, hasn't been pretty for him over the first 2 years. I think you've just got to create a better offensive infrastructure up front in New York. Again, a lot of different directions they could go, but I do like the idea of trying to fortify that offensive line. I think the Titans fortify their offensive line as well. They have one of the worst O-lines in football. I think that Olu Fashanu out of Penn State brings a ton of athleticism, a ton of potential to that position. He's already a very good pass protector. I think he will grow as a run blocker. I think you're now stacking multiple blue chip type offensive talents at offensive line over the last couple years when you talk about what the Titans have done in the draft. And you want to be able to protect your quarterback, to be able to create running lanes for your running back, whoever that may be, in 2024. At 8 overall for the third year in a row, the Atlanta Falcons, Jared Verse. I've got them taking an edge player. There's a lot of different edges that they could potentially go for. I do think edge should be at close to the top of their list in terms of needs, but I think Jared Verse fits that kind of mold that you've seen from them. Obviously, they do have a new coaching staff, or they will have a new coaching staff. We don't know how that group is going to value edge or how they're going to look at edge. But for me, Jared Verse makes a ton of sense with his size and explosiveness, his speed to power, his length, his hand moves. I think that he has the potential to be a really disruptive force up front for the Atlanta Falcons. At 9 overall, the Bears' second pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, Jerzon Johnny Newton out of Illinois, a guy who doesn't have to travel far, doesn't have to change his colors to go over to Chicago from Illinois. But I think that bringing him in to pair with Montez Sweat, you now have an incredible interior penetrator, a guy that can hold up at the point, but also so quickly defeats offensive linemen at the line of scrimmage, at the point of attack, and explodes into the backfield. He's got great strength, flexibility, decent proportional length. He's very quick, got a variety of hand moves to, again, defeat offensive linemen very quickly at the snap. So I think Jerzon Newton paired with Montez Sweat, you're really starting to build that defensive front into something that could be fearsome, into a Monsters of the Midway type front. At 10 overall, the Jets, I think that they've got to go offensive line. I think they've got to go offensive tackle in all likelihood. Who are they going to take at this point? I've got them taking Amarius Mims. I think they have showed the propensity to really value the guys that have the freaky length and athleticism. I think Amarius Mims brings that to the table. I also think, the Jets have been a little snake bit, and Amarius Mims has been a little snake bit with offensive line injuries. He's missed a good bit of time the last couple years, and this just kind of feels like a Jets pick to me, right? At 11, I have the Minnesota Vikings taking Dallas Turner, the Alabama edge. This is a guy that provides a lot of versatility. He has a budding pass rush skill set, has great length, incredible athleticism, is a good run defender despite being a little thin, it looks like, and he's a guy that is super smooth dropping into coverage. I think that if they keep that staff in place, that Dallas Turner would be a great fit with the versatility and pass rush that he brings to the table. At 12 overall, the Denver Broncos, I think that they could go in a million different directions here, but I have them taking Laiatu Latu out of UCLA. This is the most refined edge prospect in terms of the pass rush skill set that he brings to the table. He is a technician. He's got quickness. He's got very good size. I think he's not very long, but he uses his length extremely well. His hands are weapons, and he's a guy that just is a ready-made pass rush prospect. I think he comes into Denver and immediately has an impact for them. At 13, Las Vegas Raiders, Rome Odunze, wide receiver out of Washington. This guy kind of reminds me a bit of Devontae Adams, who I think will be departing this offseason. So you go get his replacement, a guy who has even more athleticism than Devontae Adams brings to the table, in my opinion, and a guy who you can build around on the offensive side of the ball. At 14 overall, Brock Bowers, tight end out of Georgia, to the New Orleans Saints. He had to come off the board at some point. I mean, this is a top 5 overall prospect in this class for me. I think that the Saints, they're probably going to bring Derek Carr back. They've got receivers that they like. I think adding Brock Bowers to that mix could really help out the offense. He's not just a receiver at tight end. This is a guy that can absolutely be an impact space blocker and brings a lot of toughness and athleticism to the field. At 15 overall, the Indianapolis Colts almost made the playoffs. They are stuck at 15 overall, though. I have got them taking Terrion Arnold, cornerback out of Alabama. He feels like an Indianapolis Colt to me. They value the athleticism. I think they value the skill set that Terrion Arnold brings to the table. I think he'd be outside or inside corner for you at the next level. And he just feels like a Colt to me. Seattle Seahawks at 16 overall, Kool-Aid McKinstry, second straight Alabama cornerback coming off the board. He feels like a throwback Pete Carroll type cornerback. And I think that, they obviously have Reek Woolen. They brought in Devon Witherspoon, but I think Witherspoon, his best ceiling is in the slot. And so I think you bring in another corner, so you have three really high-quality corners. I think Kool-Aid McKinstry, he has versatility in terms of being able to play man or zone, very good length, very good athleticism overall. I think he's going to be a good corner in this league for a long time. At 17 overall, I have the Jaguars sitting here taking Keon Coleman. I think the Jaguars should probably address offensive line with this pick, but I could see the Jags falling in love with another player that went to college in the state of Florida, a player in Keon Coleman who I do think brings a skill set at the wide receiver position that they absolutely do not have. He's 6'3", 220 pounds, has the physicality, has the strong hands, the ability to go up and get the football, fight through contact. I think that Trevor Lawrence would welcome Keon Coleman, even though I think offensive line is probably a more prudent selection at this point for the Jaguars, but we'll see how it plays out. Lots going to change in Jacksonville over the next couple months, I think. At 18, the Cincinnati Bengals, the final team to not make the playoffs, right? Picks 1 through 18 are locked in. J.C. Latham, offensive tackle out of Alabama. I think that this is a fair range for J.C. Latham. The Bengals, I think they need to get younger on their offensive line. They need to get more talented. I think J.C. Latham can potentially do that for them. At 19, I think that the Green Bay Packers are gifted here. Troy Fautanu, who is an offensive lineman with great length, great athleticism, super advanced hand usage, got the snatch trap down pat. Very aggressive, I think at times overly aggressive, out there on the edge at left tackle for Washington. But whether he's playing left tackle for the Packers or moving somewhere on the interior, I think he's the type of player the Packers would absolutely value at a high level. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think that they might want a Shaquille Barrett replacement. I think Chop Robinson can absolutely be that type of player for them. So I've got the Penn State edge, who is, undersized, but an incredible athlete, like the best athlete at edge, in my opinion. In terms of his explosiveness, his get off, he's shown the ability to win on the outside arc, to also cross the face of tackles and win inside. I think that Chop Robinson is going to have a bright future as a pass rusher in the NFL. At 21, the Arizona Cardinals' second pick, I've got them taking Cooper DeJean, corner out of Iowa, who really can play outside, can play nickel. I think can absolutely play safety for you. I think that Jonathan Gannon would really value that versatility, that skill set that Cooper DeJean brings to the table. I think that that would be a nice fit for them. I also have the Los Angeles Rams in the same division taking a corner at the very next pick, 22 overall. Nate Wiggins, corner out of Clemson. He is the best cover corner in this class. He is undersized when it comes to his overall frame at only about 185 pounds. I think you see that show up sometimes when he's trying to tackle. So I think he could fall a little bit because he's not quite as complete as some of the other corners. But again, I do think he is the very best cover corner in this class. The Rams would love to have him. At 23 overall, the Pittsburgh Steelers drafting another quarterback just a couple years after selecting Kenny Pickett in the first round. Michael Penix Jr. I think that with his arm strength, with his ability to hit deep passes, George Pickens, I think that he could be a fit for the Pittsburgh Steelers, a guy that I think has that blue-collar mentality, that hard-working mentality, the big arm to throw passes deep down the field. I think he could work out for the Steelers. I do not personally have a first-round grade on Michael Penix Jr., but I do think he's going to end up going in the first round of the draft. At 24 overall, Miami Dolphins, Talise Fuaga out of Oregon State. I think that this is the type of guy they need. They need toughness on their offensive line. They need guys that can stay healthy, whether he's playing tackle or guard for them. I think he can absolutely come in and help upgrade that running game. And win in pass protection at a fairly high level. Really like what Talise Fuaga brings. At 25 overall, I think the Philadelphia Eagles need a corner. I think Quinyon Mitchell out of Toledo is a guy that can be a playmaker for that defense. He's picked off a lot of passes. He's got great size and athleticism combination. He's the type of player I think the Eagles could take at 25 and really upgrade and bring some youth in to that secondary. At 26 overall, the Kansas City Chiefs are sitting here right now. And again, all these teams in the playoffs from 19 to 32, there will be movement. Obviously, this is just where they are right now. The Kansas City Chiefs at 26 overall. Brian Thomas Jr., wide receiver out of LSU. They added Rashee Rice last year, found some very good success with him. I think they want to add a burner, a guy who can be a vertical threat for Patrick Mahomes, and Brian Thomas Jr. absolutely can be that. At 27 overall, Houston Texans. They've got some receivers to work with now, right? Nico Collins having a very big year. Tank Dell, big time hit for them in the draft last year. But I think you bring in an Adonai Mitchell, another pass catcher for CJ Stroud. You now have Mitchell and Nico Collins that can work on the outside, work Tank Dell more in the slot. And I think you have a really nice threesome of receivers for CJ Stroud to hit passes down the field. And I think that you have an offense you can get really excited about. The Texans could obviously go defense as well. I think they will address their defense in some spots. But I think helping CJ Stroud out, you already have that offensive line fortified, helping him out more with another big-time receiver in A.D. Mitchell, who, for me, ranks ahead of a lot of these prospects that have already come off the board because he is a tremendous route runner. He creates separation at a high level. He has size. He plays with physicality, and he has incredibly strong hands and ball tracking down the field. At 28 overall, Detroit Lions. This is a team that the players they select have to have a certain kind of a mold to them, a certain type of toughness and physicality. I think Byron Murphy, the Texas defensive lineman, brings a ton of toughness and never quit attitude. I had them earlier this year taking Braylon Trice out of Washington. I think that Trice could be a fit for them, certainly with the mindset he brings to the field. But I think Byron Murphy could really upgrade their interior pass rush, could upgrade their energy, their effort up front, and really kind of pair nicely with some of the guys they already have. At 29 overall, Xavier Worthy going to the Buffalo Bills. I don't know what's going on with the Buffalo Bills and Stephon Diggs. It seems like there's been a little bit of hard times in that relationship over the last couple years. But I think Xavier Worthy is the type of guy that could complement Stephon Diggs or potentially replace him long term. Worthy, I think he showed improved hands throughout this college football season, and he is such an easy separator. Got great speed, great athleticism. I think that he's the type of player that Josh Allen could have a lot of fun throwing the football to. At 30, I have the Dallas Cowboys addressing their offensive line. No big surprise there. I think there's a few guys they could look at, but Jordan Morgan has kind of that toughness, that physicality that I think they really value up front in Dallas. And I think that he would be a good fit for them, whether he's playing tackle or guard. At 31, another offensive tackle coming off the board, Tyler Guyton going from Oklahoma to San Francisco here. I think the 49ers need to upgrade their right tackle spot. I think Tyler Guyton is the type of guy that has the athleticism and length and size to really thrive in a San Francisco 49ers Kyle Shanahan offense. He's got a long way to go in terms of his development. Maybe not a year one starter, but a guy who I think can help them out in the coming years. And then at 32 overall, I think that the Baltimore Ravens, they could go in a lot of different directions. They don't have a ton of big time needs, but I think they could get younger in their secondary at cornerback. Kamari Lassiter's got that dog in him, literally out of the University of Georgia. He's the type of guy that just brings a toughness and physicality that I think reminds me of a lot of Baltimore Ravens players, a lot of Baltimore Ravens picks you've seen over the last several years and over the last several decades, really, for the Ravens. So that is my 32 picks in the first round for this 2024 mock draft, January edition of the Rogue Football Mock Draft. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Hit me up on Twitter at Jordan DeLugo. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. Have a good one.